In this video, I'm going to teach you everything I know about how to whip. Bro! Whips look insane. I don't really know why they look so good, just making a bicycle go sideways off a takeoff, but it looks so rad. And honestly, I enjoy watching people whip more than I do enjoy people doing crazy tricks. Just having that flow and gelling with the bike, it looks so steezy, so good, and I'd watch that all day long. There's a lot that goes into it and you can't start too big, otherwise you risk sending yourself to the hospital. So where do we start on learning how to whip? That's a tricky question because there's so many different ways that people whip, depending on your height, the type of riding you do, the type of bike you have, how big the jump is, how fast you're going, which foot forward you ride. There's so many different things that goes into it. So it's kind of hard to say there's one way because there's definitely not. You know, there's multiple ways to do everything in mountain biking. Everyone's different, everyone's unique, and everyone's got a different style. But I'm gonna tell you what's worked for me, and hopefully this gives you what you need, gives you the tools you need to take your whips to the next level. First of all, you wanna start small. Don't go and hit a big jump and try to get sideways, because getting sideways, believe it or not, is actually not the hardest part. It's getting it back. That's the tricky part. Starting off on a small jump, preferably a tabletop. It just, I think for your confidence, you being able to focus on the task at hand, a smallish tabletop, a few meters long, is all you need to get the basic skills going, to get the basic technique going, and then we can move on after that. First of all, you need to figure out which way you want to whip. Do you want to whip right or left? This depends largely also on what foot you ride forward. So me, I ride right foot forward, and I find the easiest way to start is whipping to the left. In other words, the front of the bike is going to the left for the rider, and the rear of the bike is going out to the right. This I find the easiest way, especially if you're not hitting a jump at super high speed. It's easier for me to pop and turn the bike. And if I'm going faster, generally it's more of a scrub whip. So I can't go as high, but I can still get just as sideways, and then I'll do it the opposite direction. Then I'll have the side where my foot that is at the back, that will come forward. So I'll turn the front of the bike to the right, and the back of the bike will come out to the left. And that's for me as the rider from my perspective. Now that takes a little bit more practice, so I would suggest starting with the front foot forward. Okay, once you figured out that, then the approach of the jump. You want to give yourself as much room as possible, and chances are you're going to be landing a bit sideways, especially on the smaller jumps, because you don't really have enough time to get the bike back. If you're only getting a meter of air time, it's not a lot of time to actually get the bike sideways and back. When you're approaching the jump, you want to approach it in the opposite direction to the way you want to whip. So if you want to whip the bike out to the right, for example, the rear end of the bike coming out to the right, which for me would be the way I would start, because I'm riding right foot forward, remember? So as you're hitting a jump forward, you're turning that bike out and pushing the rear end of the bike out to the right. I would approach the jump going towards the right side of the lip, because you're kind of carving off the lip. So you're turning to the left off the lip. So you want to approach the lip slightly towards the right, because if you approach it towards the left and then turn off the left, you're gonna hook off the track. So as you're going off the lip a little bit aimed right, I would say maybe 20 degrees right of straight, and then you're turning back, and that's gonna pick up the bike. So that's the first step is your approach. You want to make sure that you give yourself enough room, approach it in the opposite direction to your whip. Once you got your approach, keep yourself nice and stable, going off the lip, not doing anything fancy. Keep your upper body more or less straight up. So from your hips upwards, you want to always, no matter how steep the takeoff is, you want to keep your upper body up, because that's your control point. That's what's going to control getting that whip out and also getting that whip back. So now as you're going off the lip, when you're whipping with your right foot forward, you want to pull the bars slightly towards your waist and swing your legs and hips out to the right, if you're whipping to the right now. So that's all one motion. So pulling the bars to your hips slightly and then pushing that rear end of the bike out with your legs. If your body is straight up, you'll be able to get it back. And how you do that is you lean slightly more forward, and that is going to naturally bring the rear end of the bike to the straight direction. And even if you land a bit sideways, the most important thing is land with your front wheel first, because if you land front wheel first, the rear end will follow. So even if when the front wheel touches down, if the back end could be even 90 degrees, but as soon as it touches down, it's going to pull that back end into line, and the rear wheel won't touch ground just right away. It will kind of fall into line as you land. So that is important. If you're going the opposite direction, more or less the same rule applies, but for me, I do it more of a scrub whip. So I will actually turn the bar down. So when I'm whipping out to the left, so the rear end is coming out to the left, I will turn the bars to the right off the lip. So approach it again, giving myself more room. So I'll approach the jump aiming slightly left, turning the bars to the right, and then swinging out my hips as the bike takes off. When I'm at the point where I want to start bringing the whip back, I lean my upper body forward and obviously turn the bars straight again, and naturally the bike will start to fall back in line, and making sure that my front wheel touches down first and the rear end will then follow. And again, on landing, that is the most important point, is landing with your front wheel first, straight to which way you want to go, and always maintaining that neutral, straight up, if you can, upper body position. Obviously, this can change a bit when you're getting massive whips. When you watch guys like Iles or something like that, then we can have another conversation. But for the general rule of thumb, this is the easiest way. And this does not happen overnight, so it's going to take a lot of practice. Now, once you've got the basics down, you want to take things up to the next level and take on bigger jumps. And the funny thing is that the bigger you go with jumps, the easier it's going to be, because it gives you way more time in the air to actually get the whip out and get it back. On smaller jumps is way harder, but obviously the risk goes up as well. So that is something you're going to have to bear in mind. Also with a whip, you potentially will have to go quicker for the jump, because you are creating more wind resistance when the bike goes sideways. So that's something to bear in mind. But as a general rule of thumb, once you've got the technique down on small jumps, you can do it on bigger jumps. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that in not too long, you'll be sending it sideways with the best. If you guys like this video and you want to see some more, please hit that like and subscribe button. It would be huge for me and for the channel. And if you want to see some more how-to videos, check this playlist right up here.